I thought you would like that. So you asked why I gasped when you asked me that question, and I said I'll go home and I'll read it to you. Here's why I gasped. But first, before I read it to you, because this is my favorite quote, it is the thing that has probably affected me most in my life, and so I will explain because I posted it, I pinned it to the top of my wall. All the different quotes, those quotes that I read you are just a few of the many quotes that I pinned in this document. And then at the bottom, it talks about my story, so I'll read you my story since your eyesight's not the greatest. Those are some of the voices that shaped how I learned to think about meaning, mystery, and joy. What follows is how that learning unfolded in my life. The Pentecostal world of my childhood and the evangelical Christianity of my younger years never fully rang true for me. Deep down, I knew I could not believe what they believed, yet I tried for years to make myself fit in. Eventually, I felt myself drowning in a story that was not my own. Leaving was not a single dramatic moment. It was a slow unraveling. First rebellion, then anger, then silence. But stepping away was only the beginning. The harder work came afterward, learning how to let joy back into my life. Now, in the tradition I was raised in, joy outside of the framework was labeled sin. So for a long time, I didn't just struggle to feel joy, I struggled to trust it. Over time, I came to see that I do not need heaven or hell, a personalized God, or even an immortal soul to explain who we are. The wonder of consciousness arises from primate brains that evolved the capacity to know themselves. That realization can feel stark at first, but for me, it became deeply liberating. Faith, as I was taught, meant clinging to doctrines without evidence and calling that virtue. Letting go of that meant learning to live with mystery instead of certainty. And discovering that mystery is not emptiness, it can be luminous. In that surrender, I found something richer than answers. Reverence without requiring final conclusions. The joy I've found is simple. Being fully at home in this natural world, grateful for what we can know and humbled by what remains beyond our reach. I remind myself often, you are not healing to be able to handle trauma, pain, anxiety, and depression. You're healing to be able to handle joy and to accept happiness back into your life. That's what happened to me. I had to heal in order to let joy return. And nothing has helped me more than Ursula Goodenough's reminder that I don't have to solve the universe in order to stand in awe of it. Mystery generates wonder, and wonder generates awe. The gasp can terrify, or the gasp can emancipate. So what follows, Randy, is the full passage that helped me move from terror to gratitude. I've had a lot of trouble with the universe. It began soon after I was told about it in physics class. I was perhaps 20, and I went on a camping trip where I found myself in a sleeping bag looking up into the crisp Colorado night. Before I could look around at Orion and the Big Dipper, I was overwhelmed with terror. The panic became so acute that I had to roll over and bury my face in the pillow. All the stars I see are but part of one galaxy, and there are some 100 billion galaxies in the universe, perhaps 100 billion stars in each one, occupying magnitudes of space that I cannot begin to imagine. Each star is dying, exploding, accreting, exploding again, splitting atoms and fusing nuclei under enormous temperatures and pressures. Our sun, too, it's going to die, frying the earth to a crisp during its heat death, spewing its bits and pieces out into the frigid nothingness of curved space-time. The night sky was ruined. I would never be able to look at it again. I just wept in my pillow. The long, slow tears of adolescent despair. And when I later encountered the famous quote from physicist Steven Weinberg, "The more the universe seems comprehensible, the more it seems pointless," I wallowed in its poignant nihilism. A bleak emptiness overtook me whenever I thought about what was really going on out in the cosmos or deep in the atom. So I just did my best not to think about such things. But since then, I have found a way to defeat the nihilism that lurks in the infinite and the infinitesimal. I've come to understand that I can deflect the apparent pointlessness of it all by realizing that I don't have to seek a point in any of it. Instead, I can see it as the locus of mystery. The mystery of why there's anything at all rather than nothing. The mystery of where the laws of physics came from. The mystery of why the universe seems so strange. Mystery. Inherently pointless. Inherently shrouded in its own absence of category. The clouds pass across the face of the deity in the stained glass images of heaven. The word God is often used to name this mystery. A concept known as deism proposes that God created the universe, orchestrating the Big Bang so as to author its laws, and then step back and allowed things to pursue on their own course. For me, deism doesn't work. I find I can only think of a creator in human terms, and the concepts of a human-like creator of muons and neutrinos has no meaning for me. But more profoundly, deism spoils my covenant with mystery. To assign attributes to mystery is to disenchant it, to take away its luminance. I think of the ancients ascribing thunder and lightning to godly feuds, and I smile. The need for explanation pulsates in us all. Early humans, bursting with questions about nature, but with limited understanding of its dynamics. They explain things in terms of supernatural persons and person animals, and who delivered them the droughts and the floods and the plagues. They took the dead and they punished or forgave the wicked. Explanations taking the form of unseen persons were our only option when persons were the only thing we felt we understood. Now, with our understanding of nature, arguably better than our understanding of persons, nature can take its place as a strange but wondrous given. The realization that I needn't have answers to the big questions, needn't seek answers to the big questions. It served as an epiphany. I lie on my back under the stars and the unseen galaxies, and I let their enormity wash over me. I assimilate the vastness of the distances, the impermanence, the fact of it all. I go all the way out, and then I go all the way down to the fact of photons without mass and gauge bosons that become massless at high temperatures. I take the abstractions about force and symmetries. They caress me like Gregorian chants. The meaning of the words not mattering because the words are so haunting. Mystery generates wonder, and wonder generates awe. The gasp can terrify, or the gasp can emancipate. Ursula Goodenough, The Sacred Depths of Nature, 2nd edition. So in closing, I want to say this. This is a little thing I put on the end, and you got to read it in the way of a preacher, standing up there reading a sermon. In closing, brothers and sisters, please stand, take out your hymnals, and turn to page 42. Today's selection is My Soul by Peter Mayer. And there's a YouTube link to go there to hear the song, because it really is an amazing song. But it does say there are 100 billion snowflakes swirling in the cosmic storm, and each one is a galaxy, 1 billion stars or more, and each star is 1 million Earths, a giant fiery sun high up in some sky, maybe shining on someone. And deep inside a snowflake, I am floating quietly. I am infinitesimal, impossible to see, sitting in my tiny kitchen, in my tiny home, staring out my window at a universe of snow. But my soul is so much bigger than the very tiny me. It reaches out into the snowstorm like a net into the sea, out into all the lovely places where my body cannot go. I touch that beauty and embrace it in the bosom of my soul. And so brief and fleeting is this tiny life of mine, like a single quarter note in the march of time. But my soul is like the music. It goes back to ancient days, back before it wore a human face, long before it bore my name. Because my soul is so much older than the evanescent me, it can describe the dawn of time like a childhood memory. It's a spark that was begotten in the darkness long ago. What my body has forgotten, I remember in my soul. So we live this life together. My giant soul and tiny me. One resembling forever. One like smoke upon the breeze. One, the deep, abiding ocean. One, a sudden, flashing wave. And counting galaxies like snowflakes, I would swear we were the same. Oh, my soul belongs to beauty. It takes me up to lofty heights. It teaches Sacred stories to me, it sanctifies my tiny life. Lays a bridge across the ages, melts the boundaries of my bones, paints a bold, eternal face on this passing moment, O my soul.